I've known a certain amount of people in my days in the Avatar community who do not ship Zutara per se, but do support the pairing of the Blue Spirit and the Painted Lady, i.e. Zuko and Katara's secret identities. It fits into the forbidden love angle of Zutara that intrigues a lot of people. Sure, they may not be able to be together in the daytime, but in the night their love can exist. All this is well and good, but I'd like to take a deeper look at the Blue Spirit and the Painted Lady, what these secret identities mean for the two of them and for their relationship, and the subtext behind secret identities in Avatar: The Last Airbender as a whole. Undoubtedly, this will have to be pared down a bit from my original intentions. I could talk forever about masks and duplicity and secret identities in Avatar: The Last Airbender. I could easily write a 6,000-word academic paper on it. Maybe another time I'll talk about Azula's love of false identities, whether she's impersonating Zuko, or whether she's pretending not to be royal in the episode The Beach, so they don't recognize her. I'd talk about how these identities serve as a mask for her insecurities, and allow her to avoid the cognitive dissonance that exists between her belief that fear is the only effective means of control, and her secret knowledge that her mother did, despite what she always said, love her. Let's focus more on Zuko and Katara. Zuko's secret identity is introduced in episode 113, called simply the Blue Spirit. It is very literally a mask. If you read the comics, you'd see that it is one of his mother's theatrical masks. For those of you who don't know, the Fire Nation is based heavily on Japan, and no theater in Japan has a tradition of the actors wearing these oftentimes ostentatious masks. Ursa loved theater until she was taken away to the Fire Nation capital city to be Ozai's bride. Her mask, thus, allows Zuko to have some closeness with her, despite the fact that he hasn't seen her in years, even as it also allows him to leave behind his identity as the Prince of the Fire Nation. The Prince Zuko identity is laden with burdens, both external and internal, and adopting the secret identity allows him to escape these burdens. As he explains to Katara in episode 220, The Crossroads of Destiny, he spent 2 full seasons of the show believing that his scar condemned him to the Sisyphean task of chasing the Avatar. It's a permanent mark that cannot be removed, aside possibly by Katara's healing water, but it can be disguised, and the Blue Spirit identity allows Zuko to do just that. He can escape his role, and thus the persona of Zuko, disgraced Prince of the Fire Nation, trying desperately to reclaim his honor by capturing the Avatar. Zuko's journeys as the Blue Spirit in Season 1 prefigure his entire character transformation in Season 2. For one, he cannot firebend in his Blue Spirit form, lest he reveal his true identity, so he has to focus on pure martial arts. This is exactly what he has to do in Season 2 of Avatar, demonstrated bitterly and ironically in the episode Zuko Alone. Having lost not only his sense of self, but his ability to express that self, he is forced to question whether this self is actually something he wants to reclaim, or whether there is another, more beneficial route for him to pursue. With this comes the gradual unraveling of his moral identity. The largest superficial difference is that Zuko chooses to take on the guise of the Blue Spirit, whereas he does not choose his fate in Season 2. But this difference is undermined by ambiguity in both cases. The Blue Spirit is an identity Zuko pragmatically adopts in order to achieve his ultimate goal of not having to disguise himself anymore, of finally having his original sense of identity restored to him. Of course, we, the audience, know that this is a falsity, that Ozai can never restore his honor, because Ozai does not have the power to take it away, except when Zuko gives him that power. But for most of the show, this belief of restoring his original identity exists in Zuko's mind. He believes it, so it matters to his character. Conversely, Zuko's Season 2 state, while it is a state he does not welcome, is not one he seeks to escape if the result of attaining that escape is just returning to his old exile identity he had in Season 1. Though his initial circumstances are out of his control, he secretly has more power over himself than he does in Season 1. His decisions, big and small, that he makes in Season 2 affect his life significantly more than any decision he makes in Season 1. He is more capable of deciding the kind of person he is going to be going forward. Power in Avatar: The Last Airbender is associated not only with corruption, but with rigidity. One could take Aang's words to Korra in the season finale of Season 1 of that show, that we are most open to change when we are at our lowest, as a sort of thesis statement for both shows. The ambiguity implicit in the Blue Spirit character is what allows for the tension that powers the episode The Blue Spirit, and thus powers the tension between Aang and Zuko. Did he save Aang for practical reasons or moral reasons? Or is there a difference? Or if there is a difference, does it even matter? Zuko attempts to put an end to that ambiguity by shooting fire at Aang near the end of the episode, but he fails. Not only does he fail to set Aang on fire, he fails to dissipate that ambiguity. He fails to force the ambiguity to dissipate. It lingers. Aang even brings up the occurrence 2 seasons later in episode 312, the Western Air Temple. There does not ostensibly seem to be the same level of complexity associated with Katara disguising herself as the Painted Lady. Aang basically calls her a superhero. Think Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne, ostensibly ordinary people who can transform into extraordinary pseudo-mythical beings. But there is a lot more going on here. Think of the differences between how she disguises herself and how Zuko disguises himself. Like, even visually. Zuko wears a mask because he is trying to escape from the persona that weighs on him, this idea of who he is supposed to be that he is uncomfortable with, even though he cannot quite admit that. Katara, on the other hand, does not wear a mask. Instead, she accentuates herself. She does not want to escape herself. Why does she not tell the townspeople that it was Katara and not the Painted Lady who saved them? Katara presents it as just not knowing how to break the news, but it goes a lot deeper than that. She's too savvy and forceful for that, so we have to ask ourselves, is it mere selflessness on her part? Does she not want the credit? You could say it's to disguise the fact that she's a waterbender in this town in the Fire Nation, but I find that rather unconvincing. We need to take a different perspective on this. Who exactly is the Painted Lady? She is a guardian spirit who abandoned the town who worshipped her. This is perhaps an uncharitable interpretation, but it is nonetheless supported by the text, as the real painted lady near the end of the episode appears to Katara, demonstrating that she could have done something, she just didn't. Also, think about Katara. What has she lost? She is deeply respectful of the traditions of her people and thus feels isolated when those traditions are destroyed by imperialist invasion. I would not go so far as to call Katara a nationalist, but she has a very specific idea of what the Water Tribe should be, and that has been taken from her. So if she can serve as the cultural, spiritual protector of a town, that helps bring her closure. And that is accentuated by how her manipulations allow her to go beyond what others, especially the other members of Team Avatar, consider acceptable. Unburdened by the expectations she has to fulfill as kind of the mom of the team, the one who takes care of everyone, she is more free to realize her true self. This is the same process that she finally finishes when she confronts the man who killed her mother in the Southern Raiders. Katara is very selfless most of the time, and that's good, but in order for her to truly come to peace with what has happened, she must consider what she wants and what she feels is missing in her life rather than just what's best for others. And her secret identity allows her to do that. Indeed, Zuko and Katara's secret identities not only parallel each other, but also allow these characters the freedom to move toward discovering who they want to be. It allows them further exploration of themselves. While for Zuko, it's about breaking free of the burdens of his situation, while for Katara, it's about embracing her true desires. These deceptions, ironically, allow these characters to be far more honest with themselves. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching Avatar. It's a brilliant, challenging show. It's available on Netflix. Go watch it if you haven't. If you have watched it, watch it again. There are a lot of themes that I've seen talked about a lot of themes it does really well. Like talking about the aftermath of war and revenge and the cycle of violence. But there are a lot of other ideas and instances of symbolism that are underexplored, and I thought it cogent to delve into one of these today, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. Tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.